My guest today is Bear Woods, defensive player for the Trojans, linebacker. Bear, thanks for joining me here today.
Nice to be here.
Now, Bear, the season is upon us. It's coming here shortly. What's your feelings about this coming up season? How are you feeling about the way the Trojans are looking going into the season?
We've made a lot of progress this first week. You know, you get on pads and kind of got to shake the rust off the first day of tackling, and today we really did good tackling defensively. The offenses, they're offense that got to get on a roll and they got to kind of get everything flowing good. And once they start flowing, they're hard to stop. So the whole team's looking good, and I expect big things, bigger things than ever here at Troy this year. Anything less would be a disappointment to me.
Now, defense, almost traditionally, Troy has had strong defenses, and the same holds true the past few years. Is it going to be true this year? Are we looking at a strong, solid defense for the Trojans?
You know, like I said, I'm looking for us to have the best defense we've ever had. Mm-hmm. But we got a lot of hard competition, you know, as far as being able to maintain teams and, how some teams are going to get their yards because they're good at what they do, but we're going to try to keep that scoreboard to a very minimum, as a defense. And we have some of the, I think, the best defensive players we've ever had here since I've been here, and we should be ready.
And one of the things is depth. And it's one of the things a lot of folks are talking about the defense this year. There's some depth. You had some players that had opportunity to get in some reps last year, and they're coming back, and you've got returning players. You've got a little more depth in defense this year. Does that make you feel a little more comfortable on the field as a starter?
Oh, it really does, just knowing that you have guys that step in, because someone's going to go out at some point, in the season. Hopefully not for long, but, someone's going to get dinged up, and to have a guy come in and to know what to do, because everyone gives effort, but guys know what to do now as far as the defense is, and that's good to know that someone can step in and give us a couple plays or a couple games.
And of course, a couple of games. Let's talk about that. You are going to have to miss a couple of games this season, so backup is going to have to play. Talk a little bit about that whole process and the fact that you're going to have to miss probably one of the biggest games, especially for you personally. You're going to have to miss out on that Florida game, Bowling Green in Florida. Talk about that whole situation.
Well, the situation that was bad. We had to ask the NCAA for my 5th year. And by the grace of God, we got it back, and I had missed the first 2 games because I played in 1 game, so I had to miss 2. So that's the way it worked. And the Florida game's going to be bad to miss because I'm 40 minutes from Gainesville. Everyone's Gator fans back home, and that'd just be a great game just to win for bragging rights for the rest of my life, But we got Donnell Golden, who started 3 games last year for me because of my foot injury. Yeah. And he's ready to play. If I wasn't here, he'd be a great starter.
And of course, as you mentioned, the Florida connection, you've got family and friends that are in that area who do they know you're not playing in that game, or at this point has the word gotten out?
My family does. They do know, but yeah, I have people messaging me. I'm getting tickets for the game, this and that, and then I'm messaging them back. Cool, because I still want them to come.
Exactly.
But everyone hasn't found out yet. Yeah. They're going to be very disappointed.
Now, talk about, even though you don't play in the game, you know the scope of it, and it's almost become tradition that Troy plays the defending national champion. It's happened the past 3 years, Florida 2 years ago, LSU last year, and then Florida again this year. Talk about, the pressure that gets put on the Trojans to have to play a team of this caliber every year on the schedule.
I didn't see it as any pressure. Maybe some people do. I see it as opportunity, opportunity to showcase what Troy can do and the athletes that Troy has. And I think we've done almost good. Last year we was right there at LSU and spanked their tail for 3 quarters, and then they snuck one in on us that 4th quarter. That was horrible, but still we was able to show what we can do. We just have to finish.
And of course, talk a little bit about that and the team. Is this something the team is working on and looking at this year about finishing games? That obviously a heartbreaker of heartbreakers to see it slip away like that. But that wasn't the only opportunity that y'all saw slip away right there at the end last season. So is there more of an emphasis on finishing games and being strong at the end?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the case this year. We gotta really. But see, the depth that we talked about, that's going to help because at the end of the games, especially for the big guys up front defensively, they're tired. They're big old guys, that get no break, no reps, but we got guys to step in. So now we'll be able to compete with those teams that have 3-man rotations in the 4th quarter. So maybe that'll help out a lot. It should.
And of course, can't interview Bear without talking about Boris.
Right,
So
definitely.
I mean, the Killer Bees. How is this relationship working? Obviously, I call it a relationship, but it is a relationship on the field between the two of you guys, a tandem linebacker core, getting out there and just dominating. And that was y'all's goal from the get-go. I've interviewed you before about it. We've talked about this. Is that still there? Is that camaraderie still there? That desire to just dominate the offenses of other teams there?
It is. I mean, like, we want to be the two best in the nation. We want to be, when people mention a duo, we want, Bear and Boris, the Killer Bees, to be mentioned in every conversation, and that's what we want to do. So that's why you see us running after that football every play, wanting to be the best on the field and, in the nation.
And of course, the next question is, this is your senior year.
Right.
Is the goal to go to the next level?
Oh, no doubt about it. I don't think you play college football without having the intentions and the goal to go to the NFL.
And so what are you doing personally to try to make that happen? Is there any extra emphasis in your I guess, personal training, your playing to try to make that happen?
I mean, this summer I worked on my speed a little bit, and not really for the NFL, but I came off ankle surgery, so I had to really focus on getting back. And but as far as, I'm not gonna put no pressure on myself. I'm gonna play for the Trojans every play, not think about the NFL. I'm gonna do what I did last year and try to step it up even more. But my number one goal is to be healthy the whole season.
And be able to play through. And of course, obviously, you've got to play the games, you've got to win games, and of course, a conference championship would be a goal for the Trojans, obviously. How do you feel about conference play and going into conference plays? We talked about the other big games that you're playing, but conference play is the meat of your schedule. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, everyone knows we're the team to take down, and we was that way last year, and we just got to go out there and give it our best, and we're going to, and we're going to play 4 quarters, and we're going to be ready. Every team in this conference is able to beat any team on any day, no matter what the record says. I mean, every team in this conference has really stepped up. There's a lot of great players in this conference, and we're just going to have to go out there and give it our all.
And now, is the goal to return to New Orleans? I've asked that, but then some people have started saying the goal may be even higher than New Orleans for the Trojans. Is that a possibility as well?
I mean, the possibilities are unlimited, but there is no other possibilities unless we have that New Orleans Bowl, wrapped up. We have to win the conference, and we've still yet to go undefeated in the conference. So, I mean, that's going to be the number one goal. So we do that, win some non-conference games, and then we'll see where we go. But New Orleans is still the goal.
Your first game will be UAB, so you'll get your first game at home then.
Right.
So how do you feel getting to play your first game at home in front of the home crowd this season? Maybe a little bit less pressure because you'll be in front of the home crowd in your first game. So
I'm going to be feeling great. I mean, obviously I'm going to be a wild man that's been caged up for 2 weeks, So when I hit that field that afternoon, I'm going to be ready and give it all a go and give it everything I got, and like I said, just be a warrior out there.
You get to see everybody else have all the fun for 2 weeks, and then you get to get in there. But you'll be well rested then.
I will be well rested, but like I said, I'll be like coming out of a cage. I'll be uncontrollable.
Yeah. Well, good luck on that first game against UAB, and hopefully the Trojans will be able to do a pretty good job without you in those first 2 games at Bowling Green and Florida. So thanks for joining me today.
No problem.